45 is back at it again by lying. He falsely claims that Manafort judge declared there was no collusion with Russia. 45 weighed in on Friday to the sentencing of his former campaign chairman Paul Manafort by twisting a federal judge's words to claim that there was no collusion with Russia in the 2016 campaign. 45 tweeted out that both the judge and the lawyer in the Paul Manafort case stated loudly and for the world to hear that there was no collusion with Russia, 45 said in the Friday morning tweet, and then he repeated, the judge said there was no collusion with Russia. 45 later told a gaggle of reporters before leaving the White House to meet with the victims of the deadly tornadoes in Alabama. The inbreeding redneck state of Alabama is more like it. The facts first, the judge said no such thing. In fact, this particular trial had nothing to do with Russia or allegations of collusion. It was narrowly focused on Manafort's financial crimes. Judge T.S. Ellis sends Manafort on Thursday to serve nearly 4 years in prison for a vast financial fraud scheme. Technically, he should have got more years on that part. But Manafort is not before the court for anything having to do with colluding with the Russian government to influence his election, Ellis said. Ellis later repeated that Manafort is not before the court for any allegation that or anybody at his direction colluded with the Russian government to influence the 2016 presidential campaign. The judge never said during the 3 or 4 hour hearing that there had been no collusion between 45's campaign and Russia. Ellis presided over Manafort's fraud case in the Eastern District of Virginia. He has not been involved in Mueller's investigation of potential collusion back in 2016. Later, with reporters on Friday, 45 correctly said the judge, for whatever reason, I was very honored by it, also made the statement that this had nothing to do with collusion with Russia. Throughout the trial, Ellis made it apparent that he wanted to separate the whole issue of Russia collusion from the facts surrounding Manafort's financial crime. Manafort was convicted in August of 8 counts of financial fraud. He committed some of those crimes, which included bank fraud, tax fraud, and hiding foreign bank accounts while he was running 45's campaign, but the charges weren't tied to his work for 45 at the 2016 election. Before the trial, Manafort's lawyers asked the judge to drop the charges because they weren't directly related to Russian interference in the 2016 campaign. Ellis rejected this argument, saying at the time that Mueller simply followed the money from pro-Russian sources to Manafort. He specifically reminded Manafort's defense lawyers of that decision at the sentencing hearing. Ellis was appointed to the federal bench by Ronald Reagan back in 1987. During his career, Ellis has established himself as a cantankerous yet witty ringmaster in the courtroom. So I kind of figured that 45 would spin that, but I kind of figured that the judge didn't say that, but 45 tweeted it out anyway because 45 wants to feel so important, but he's not, so